Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bookish Lady Night, where we get a look behind the book. Today, I am joined by a new to me author, Brandy Stoker, and she is the writer behind several dark dystopian fantasy romances. So I am so excited to have her on today. Her next book comes out this summer, and we are going to fangirl and we're going to have so much fun. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, for those of us who are not familiar with your work, can you give us, I know everybody hates this term, but kind of like the elevator pitch to some of your stories?
Sure. So my main series right now is the Echoes of Eloria series, and the focus is a single mom finds out that her daughter has magic in a world where magic can get her daughter killed. So she will do whatever it takes to protect her daughter. And the series goal is to get the daughter and the mom to in a place of safety. To get out of the city though, she has to get the help of a rogue smuggler that is a stranger to her, and things don't go as planned.
Ooh, that sounds good. I'm excited to read it. So what drew you to or inspired you to write in this genre?
So I have been writing in this world, goodness, since I was in high school. So about 35 plus years. And I have about 20 books total that have in some form of completion. And this was actually my latest series that I wrote. Of all of them, I wanted to create a series that specifically kind of touched on pretty much my entire world, kind of an introductory to my world.
Mhm.
And so the entire series I created the concept as like a entry point, and that's how this story came about. I was just thinking about how to how to introduce the whole world, and so she has to travel all over the place in order to do that. And as we go about, also she's has a lots of challenges along the way in the 4 book series, and she has to learn about new people and see new people as she goes. And so each book kind of introduces little bits of my world.
Love that. So it's kind of like a trickle in versus a info dump.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, I like that. So did
But at
you
the
always want to be
same
a
time,
writer?
having a lot of story behind it. There's a
Yeah.
very solid plot behind why she's going about all of this.
Ooh, I like that. I like when it's like a rich, rich plot. You don't
Me
want
and
to
my
leave
friends
it.
have been playing, Dungeons& and Dragons or like games, RPG
Uh-huh.
games in this world for years, so we definitely know this world very well.
That's cool that you're able to do that. That's fun. So did you always want to be a writer?
I always wanted to be a writer. The challenge was I got married to a guy who didn't have a problem with me writing, but he did not want me publishing.
Oh.
So I was married to him for about 27 years. And when I got that ended, I needed to find myself and find
Mhm.
my value. And that's when I wrote my first book. And then when that started doing well, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try going with my series that I've been writing for years. So, Escape from Media, I actually wrote about 15 years ago, and Journey to Eloria, I wrote about 10 years ago. So, this is just the culmination of finally getting that out and sharing that.
I love that so much. I love that you did it and you went through with it and you
Yes.
didn't hold back that. It's
Yes.
inspirational to me. So going back to what you were saying about playing this as a Dungeons and Dragon type thing, can you tell me more about that? Because that sounds really fun.
Sure. So, to try to develop the rules of magic and where cities are and how long it takes to get places and where everything is, me and my friends, we're kind of geeky. Nerd Girls of Baltimore is the
I
group
love
that I'm
that.
with. And so we just get together and started making up stories. And as we were making up stories and coming up with ideas, we'd kind of make our characters and kind of figure out how things work. And we at the time, this was in the COVID years that we did some of some of the flushing out the game mechanics, and that was when we really were playing on a regular basis, and
Oh,
we didn't know what we
fun.
were doing, so we were making it all up as we went. So we went with what we knew.
My best friend's her son's really into Dungeons and Dragons, and so over this last year, over the summer, fall or end of spring, summertime, he made us our first campaign, and I had no idea what I was doing, but it was so much fun because I used to play
Well,
World of
it
Warcraft.
is. Yes, yes. My so I have a 32-year-old son, and he's actually building a game about my world. Now, a video game. He's actually creating a game that he's going to release in the future where
That sounds
will
so
actually be in
cool.
my world. I'm very
Yeah,
excited about that.
I'm such a WoW girl, I'll totally play it.
Yes.
That sounds so much fun. So, is there something unique or quirky about you that we maybe don't know? I know that was kind of unique and quirky, but is there anything else that you have that's kind of unique and quirky and special to you?
Well, so I have always been an art person. So I do digital art as well as acrylic art. And I have a
Mhm.
koi pond, and I've got 3 cats and a special needs dog. And just my writing is just how I just relax. It's just I've got movies. I have autism, ADD, and
Mhm.
so movies just play in my head just constantly. And it's helpful to just kind of get the ideas out there and have something written down and kind of share that, and being able to now share that with everybody, really
I
I love
love
it.
that.
It's been my dream since I was a kid to share my work, and it's just I'm loving the fact that I get to do that now.
I just got diagnosed with ADHD, but I have 2 kids on the spectrum, so I'm used to it in that way.
It was only 2 years 2 to 3 years ago that I found out about the autism also, and,
Yeah.
it's amazing how the masking I mean, you don't realize what you're doing as masking,
Mhm.
and I mean, it it's been eye-opening for me
Yeah,
to
and I
realize some of those things, so
exactly, and I love, like, when I read a book, like you were saying, it's like a movie playing, like, that's what I love about reading books is when I can, like, fully feel like I am stepping when I open that first page into the world and I can see it
yeah,
3D around me. I just love those types of stories, and especially when
yeah,
they unfold naturally. I know you said you were a nerdy type girl, so you can probably relate to this too, like, when you first play a game and it's like the old school games where it, like, pixelizes into reality as you're walking
yes,
in. That's
uh-huh.
what I see when I read a book like that, and I feel it flowing.
Exactly. Yeah, and now one of my problems with when I was reading was all when I was younger was that I could always tell how the plot was going to be. I see patterns. I see how things are supposed to go. And so, the 3-act series or the 4 I can just tell how the story is gonna go, and so even watching movies, I mean, I'll be watching a movie and I'll tell you how it's gonna end before it even happens, and everybody's like, "No, no, no, that's never gonna happen." Sure enough, that's the way it happens. But, so it's important to me to write a story that people can't guess, or
And
so it's really important to me to try to come up with stories that really keep the reader going, what's really gonna happen?
yeah. Ooh, that's good. So, can you tell us a little bit about what's coming up in the series without spoilers? I know you can't tell too much, but what you can tell us.
Right. So in book 1, we have Malin and Will who are trying to get out of the city of Media. And they do some found family. There's a lot of found family involved, and that's always been important to me. Is it's who you choose as your family as well as your regular family that makes you who you are. And so it helps to evolve your choices. And
Mhm.
so in this story, we learn a lot about what's going on and who these people are. And then, so Malin is very analytical. She doesn't really believe, and the city of Media has kind of raised her to not trust magic and not, to think analytically and to not want to be out in that world. And so this is very eye opening for her to even leave the city walls.
Yeah.
And so then once she leaves the city, book 2 is she still has to find a place of safety because safety is not just outside the city walls. So they still have to try to get to where they think is safety, which is the city of Eloria. So book 2 is them trying to get to that city of Eloria where they have to go through pirate infested waters, where they're dealing with monsters and the threat of dragons and, crazy things like X's. And so we have a lot of what does that do to a budding relationship
Yeah.
to deal with all of that? And gave me a good excuse to off an X or two. So,
I love that.
so
Therapeutic.
exactly, it was a very therapeutic book, let me tell you. So book 3 that I'm working on right now is the book where book 1, we learn to love our characters and really get invested in our characters. And book 2, we need to try to find how to give them problems and give them, a reason why they're going to need to get through things. Well, in book 2, we kind of learn a little bit about a chosen one type situation where we don't really know exactly what it is. And in book 3, we're going to learn a lot more about this chosen one and if it's something even real. And then also, we're going to have Malin, the heroine, she needs to have her own challenges because in book 2, it was largely his challenges that she had to step up and fix some things. And so in book 2, she needs to deal with her own issues of challenges, but we also have resolution to some of the conflicts from book 2.
That's exciting. So,
Yeah.
who was the hardest main character for you to write?
Well, in a large part, Malin is really me. So she was easy. I know exactly what she is going to do and what she's going to say and things like that. I have found that Will, he was pretty hard. He was pretty difficult to read to write because as much as I wanted him to, be the perfect guy, he's not. He's a regular person. He
Mhm.
is, and I believe in morally gray worlds. So even anti heroes and even our heroine doesn't always make the right choices type situation. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to give that realistic view on things. And so in some cases, some of that foil is like Queen the Lady Anriel, who is in book 1, she was harder for me to write because she's that foil that helps Malin see some of the changes and challenges that she has. Some of those were the harder of the characters to write, only because I don't I kind of had to imagine what those people were like rather than
Mhm.
have a real person or real thoughts on what they should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So, out of your characters, was there a side character that maybe didn't originally have as a big a role as they do now, or that was like so much in your like ear over here, like almost to the point where you're like, I'm just going to give you your own book. Stop.
So I do actually already have several of those books created. It's just a matter of getting them out and published. But like Lady Anriel and the Nar and Kalek story was one that I always wondered what was going to happen to her. But one that did come about as I was writing this that I ended up needing to go into ended up being the Tomes of Marath, which was the prequel story that I ended up writing. Um, have to read that book before you read this book 3 that will be coming out in the summer. Um,
Okay.
it's a little longer than a novella, but it's still it's a book. Um, but it's the story of Will before he even met Malin, before he made those choices, and it has the character Lydia, who we learn about in Escape from Media, and then who we definitely see a lot more of in Journey. She's in the Tomes of Marath, and we learn a lot more about her and her backstory.
Okay.
That was somebody who I didn't really expect to want to learn more about her because she's definitely the antagonist in book 2. So, I didn't think I wanted to learn more about her, but then I started realizing that I needed to be able to kind of tell her tale about why she is the way she is in book 2.
Yeah, I like that. So, do you feel like you're a planner or a pantser? And I just learned about a new one. It's called a quilter, which means you don't write linearly. You write like in chapter 1, chapter 5, the ending, and you can hop back all over the place.
Wow. So I would say I'm a planter. So I
Okay.
do have that high level, kind of bullet pointish kind of plot that I have the key elements that go all the way through the series because I want to make sure to foreshadow in the right areas and to add because those little Easter eggs, I just love Easter eggs in books.
Me
And
too.
so when you can go back and you can read a second time and you're like, that's why she said that. I know Rebecca Yarros and Sarah DeMoss have all that in there,
Yeah.
and I've read those so many times because of those Easter eggs. You know that they're there, and that's one
Yeah.
of the things I just loved. So I have to make sure to have those. And so that's part of that whole planter thing. I've got to have things plotted out enough that I can go back.
Can go
So
back.
I have that taken care of there. But at the same time, part of the reason why it's taking me so long to write this book 3, I started it in July of last year. As soon as I got done with book 2, I was like, I started working on that one. But it's taking me forever because book 2 took turns. I mean, the characters wanted to go certain places, and I just, it
You're
kind
like,
of,
no, no.
yeah, I was like, I wasn't, I didn't expect it to go that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so having to change a few things has also meant that I need to really replot book 3 and book 4. So
Yeah.
then cuz I got to make sure the whole series ends up going correctly. It's not just replotting one book. I've got 2 more books there I got to replot.
Yeah.
So
But I love that though about books. Like you were saying, when you can read it, like, and even like if you go back and read a book you read already, like at a different point in your life, like new things pop out of you and you're like, I love that about books.
yes, exactly. One of my friends is reading the Fourth Wing series right now, and so she just finished Iron Flame, or she's almost finished with Iron Flame. And so to prepare, of course, I had to, I wanted to freshen up and keep tidy on my what I'm remembering. So of course I had to do another read through of Onyx Storm just to, be crushed
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
And
it's so
so
painful.
I
It's so hard.
know. And that's one thing I will not do. I end my books on happily for nows. Now, as soon as you get into the next book, you might find out it wasn't as happily for now, but it's got to be ending at a happily for now. I just
Yeah.
can't do that to myself.
I know. It's always so gut-wrenching, like, we all love and hate cliffhangers. Me as a reader, I hate them. Me as
Right.
an author, I'm like, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But the thing that gets me about it, and I just experienced this with an author, I've read all of her books. The last book that she had, she's writing 2 different series right now, so she gave us a book over here, so I was able to flip over and at least have some sort of like a fix from The Hangover. But the book that she left us on an epic, and I mean it was an epic cliffhanger. There's not even a whisper of the next book. Like, not
Right.
even a mention anywhere.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, I
Yeah.
hate that.
I
Like,
can't
I
do
hate
that.
that.
I can't do that. I'm one of those people who I don't even like to pause my movies, and if
Mhm,
I watch a series of TV, I'm binge watching the entire thing.
mhm.
I mean, I'm gonna keep watching until it's over because it's one long movie in my
Yeah.
eyes,
Yep,
and
yep.
so I just can't even imagine that. So
Yeah, I can't either. So when you're writing, do you have like a visual? Do you have like music? What is kinda you use to get yourself in the zone? Do you have like a certain routine or, snacks, or what does that writing session look like for you?
So, I don't have any schedules, but when I just am in the mood to write, I am definitely in the mood to write. I have some isochronic music. I think his name is Jason Lewis. He plays Mina Mind on YouTube, I think is who I usually listen to. Pretty much any of his stuff will keep me in the zone. It's just kind of upbeat, kind of sound frequencies that just kind of
Mhm.
keep my brain going. So I'll generally just have something like that playing. But I'm also one of those people who my brain goes 50 different directions usually. And so I will sometimes have a TV show going at the same, or a movie playing at the same, something I've watched a billion times. That I think right now I've been binging Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Firefly because I was just at
Yeah.
Awesome Con last week. So Firefly, of course, I had to Had to start binging that one again.
Yeah.
Usually I have something like that on in the background. I've got my isochronics thing that kind of keeps that focus going there. And then there's the pets jumping in and out. I'm surprised they
Yeah.
haven't jumped in this conversation yet.
So do you aim for like, I know you said you don't really have like as necessarily goals or set up like that, but do you have like a certain like you want to write at least this many words or you want to finish a scene or a chapter in your writing time?
Try to do one chapter a day. Minimum. I try to do at least one chapter a day. Now, some days it's editing plus one chapter, and other days it's marketing, then one chapter. It's a chapter can be anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 words. So some days are longer than others. But I've for some reason become a night owl. I
Yeah.
tend to wait. It's 1 o'clock. I should probably be asleep. I've got an 8 a.m.
I know that for sure. I feel you there. So, when you're writing, how do you balance the romance with the action and the suspense that you're building during the story? Is that daunting? Is it easy?
Yes, it's definitely daunting, but I I like to have I don't wanna keep everybody at that high level of, adrenaline at all times, but so you need to have some downtime and some thinking time without going too slow, because you don't wanna have the ups and downs so that, relax a little bit, but at the same time, you don't there needs to be that emotional connection. And sometimes it's the emotional connection of a romance scene, and other times it's the emotional connection of a bloody pirate battle. So, I
Um,
mean, it depends on where we are in the story. I try to keep things balanced in a way that, gives a little bit of a down and then picks things back up, and then kinda that has a kind of a sine wave of, moving keeping the story going while keeping your attention. So
yeah.
I try to start and end on gripping excitement.
Okay. So, how do you go about your twists and turns when you have them? I know you said sometimes you have them pre planned, but like you were saying, if a character is leading you in a direction, does that once it starts to form, are you like the reader in the sense that you're walking up to it, or you're like the light bulb, oh, I see where they're going with this, and you go that way?
It's a combination. It depends on the character and what they're trying to tell me. Now, sometimes the character wants me to go a certain direction, and I'm like, look, the long term plot, we can't go that way. So then I have to think, okay, what can I put in their path that will make them change their mind? And
Okay.
so that kind of adds some of the twists and turns in that I know the character is going a certain direction, but if you give them something else that they have to factor into their decision making, it changes their direction and changes their path, whether they want it or not.
Yeah. So you're
So,
like the detective, like trying to talk them back off the ledge. You know, you're going this way.
exactly, yeah. Dropping the little breadcrumbs that'll make them see, but without letting them know all the little pieces.
Yeah, it's like us bit girlies where you're like leading us this way. So you're putting a book down. You're putting a book down. Come this way.
Exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
So, what's kind of your process for building tension between the characters and between the chapters to keep the story and the plot flowing forward?
So the best way to build tension for me has been giving people things that they find similarities, also giving them differences, things
Okay.
that they don't necessarily that won't keep them, connected. Will give them that tension. I mean, I don't like the miscommunication. I spent 27 years in the miscommunication world. I don't need more miscommunication. But at the same time, are there's natural, I don't, this doesn't make sense. And sometimes stubbornness or just real world can make it so that they do have disconnects. And especially
Mhm.
at the beginning, of a relationship, those are a lot easier. It's just how they handle it once
Yeah.
they get there. So,
once they get there, exactly.
yeah. And years of therapy have helped with that.
Yes, definitely, and I feel like
Some of
as a
my therapists
writer
have great sessions.
exactly, like, do you feel like as a writer that you're kinda like the therapist for your characters?
Very much so. I have definitely studying psychology and how the human mind works is a huge piece of writing. And I have definitely done my share of that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So what's the hardest types of scenes for you to write?
The hardest types of scenes are actually the ones where they are emotionally vulnerable, where they have to kind of open up and share and just fix and resolve things. I'm still learning a lot of that in my own life. So
Mhm.
it's difficult for me to write that so that
Yeah.
others can make it believable.
And then on the flip side, what's the easier scenes for you to write?
The action scenes for sure. I definitely have always been really I can see them playing out so well. I know exact and playing Dungeons and Dragons, I've we've I can work through the entire scene, and then once you have the entire scene developed, who moves each move, and then you okay, well now you only have this much of a point of view. What can they see and what could or what could they hear, and then you have to narrow it down. That's a lot easier for me because I
Yeah.
know what everybody's doing, and then being able to narrow down what they're seeing and then kind of refer to everything else. That's easy. I can do
Yeah.
that in a heartbeat.
It's easy. Okay. Do you feel it's easier to do a slow burn or an intense instant chemistry when you're writing a romance?
So I do find that the Instaburn is good. It is easier for sure, but I love a good slow burn. My challenge is that right now my characters I mean, it's the same characters through the 5-book series. So you haven't seen my actual slow burns yet. I haven't gotten those out there yet. So right now everything has it is slow burn in the fact that Escape from Media, it's you gotta get to chapter, like, 7 or 8 before anything real happens, but they have, like, a spark
Mhm.
early on. She doesn't necessarily believe in it because she's way too logical for that, but there's definitely a spark, and so but there's definitely it takes a little bit of time to get the story going and building it up, to get to that point, but
Yeah.
yeah, so slow burn's probably the hardest of them for me to write,
Mhm.
but I love that tension and I love that feeling, so
Okay. So, out of your characters, if you were to drop them into our world, because they're coming from this fantasy realm, what do you think they would think about our world? Would it be very parallel to theirs or?
well, so for Melind, it would be pretty easy because it's basically media, except she doesn't have to worry about death. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
it's the city of media is a technological wonder because they found that using technology, magic and technology can't coexist. So if they create this technological city, then voila, there's no magic around or less magic to worry about. And so for Malin, it's going to be a piece of cake. It will be, but someone like in like the elves, Anriel, Anariel, Nar, or Kelak, who are elves, they don't work very well in technology in our world. So it would be just completely game changing for them to come to our world.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that would be fun. I always love those movies that they put like fantasy characters in our world. I think
Yes,
it's
yes.
great.
I do have one of those books. So Magic Unleashed. So that'll be coming out
Oh,
eventually.
awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So, what is the biggest surprise or most profound thing you've learned being a writer and an author that you didn't maybe expect?
Well, so I've been writing for 35 plus years. So writing, writing, I'm that part I'm feeling good with. It's the publishing part. Being part of the publishing part has been a challenge because there are so many things. I do graphic art, so I know how to put the pictures together. I got an Etsy shop, so I know how to put the listings together. I know how to do some. little pieces of enough things. But putting all the pieces together is a challenge. And the fact that there are so many independent published authors out there who are all doing all that stuff all on their own without having to bring in people. I mean, I've got an amazing editor that I've been able to find, and I have an amazing cover designer that I was able to find. But there are people who have fantastic covers and who do fantastic editing of their own books. And I'm just amazed that they are able to do so much. There are so many pieces that are involved with getting a work published out there that, I mean, I thought I was ready before I took the plunge, but
Yeah.
there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah. So you're wearing all these hats. You have like 10 hats stacked up high and then
Exactly.
two on your
Yes.
hands. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of
Right.
work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for new aspiring authors that are starting their journey?
So, one of the best things I did was, for me, I found a local author group, and they have been fantastic. The Maryland Romance Writers Association. They have been just fantastic. And I've connected with a lot of the people within those groups and just individually, and really built my village of other authors that I can kind of bounce questions and thoughts and just help me figure out what to do and how to do things. One of my event besties is Christy Wolf, who she writes super soldiers and military romance, and she has been instrumental to me in learning how to do events, because I had never done events before. And so actually trying to go out and do those, that was another one of those things that I kind of had a general idea. I thought I could do it, but she has shown me how to do it. And but having that group of people that you can just ask questions to, one of the things I love the most about the group I found is that the fact is that there is no one reader does not have just one book on their shelf. They have hundreds of books usually. I mean, they've got a lot of books. So just because one person likes your book doesn't mean they can't also like the other people's books. So there's no
Yeah.
competition between us, because they're like, when Christy and I go to book events, people are buying both of our books at the same time in some
Mhm.
cases. So we're not in competition with each other, and we shouldn't be. So helping each other out has just been so fantastic, and finding that group of people who can help each other out has just been, I just love that. And so
Yeah.
that's one of the things I have loved the most about starting to get into this, because I hadn't even thought of doing that until last year. Last year was my
Yeah.
first year of actually connecting with real authors.
And having a community to help
Yes.
keep you online or questions or different things like
Right.
that. That's a good one. So I thought we could play a couple of games. The first one I have is character confession. So you kind of get in the mind of your character and answer as if they were answering the question, is essentially
Okay.
what it is.
Okay.
So your main character walks into a bar or into a restaurant for a drink, whether it's alcoholic or not. What do they order?
So if it's Will Hodgson, he is going to order a bourbon.
Okay.
That's his go-to drink generally, is a bourbon. And he'll mix it with other things, but it's if he goes into a coffee shop, he's going to be trying to get a coffee with bourbon. It's just what he does.
I love
But
that. Okay. Okay. Like that. And then what song, if you were to pick a song, would best describe them?
Jared Benjamin has a song that I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I really love almost all the songs he's done. He just has so many fantastic songs, but Jared Benjamin has song about, he's been trying to get with Fourth Wing. Can't remember the name of it. But he's got several of them actually. So
Yeah.
I'm blanking
Yeah.
on the name of it.
Okay. Well, we'll check him out. So anything by him.
Anything by him, pretty much.
Without giving spoilers, because it could give spoilers, but if it was something different that has not been written on the page, what would be one of your characters' kind of biggest secret or biggest, like, maybe lie they tell themselves?
Hmm. So I think Will Hodgson's biggest lie he tells himself is that he's done too much to too many people to be worth having happiness. I think that's
Okay.
his big thing is
Okay.
he doesn't trust himself. He's one of those people who, when he was a little kid, his parents were killed in front of him, and so he decided and he got his revenge, and he realized he was good at some darker things, and decided that he was gonna use his darkness to help other people by doing those dark tales that nobody else wants to do. So,
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
he's got really good at it.
Okay. I like that morally gray guy.
Definitely morally gray, for sure.
So, if either of your main characters were thrown into another world with other characters that you are aware of, that you know
Okay,
about, like books you've read,
okay.
who would they end up in those books with?
I can see Malin and Sarah's Fame from Quicksilver being like best friends. Those 2 would
Okay.
really get along really well.
Okay.
I see that as being a bestie type situation.
Okay. Like that.
Let's see. Beyond that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that just came to you. That's good.
That
I
just
like
came
that.
to me.
What is something that either, and it could be any of your main characters again, something that like they would refuse to do? Like, I am not doing that. Like, I don't care what you're saying. I'm not doing it.
They do. Well, Will's big thing would be that he wouldn't cheat. Period. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, he might be very untrustworthy when it comes to pretty much everything else, but the one thing he won't do is cheat.
That is a good trait. Very admirable trait. That's a good one. Okay, so my next little game is kind of like a would you rather. So physical book, an audiobook, or an ebook.
I am definitely an audiobook person.
Okay.
I do have the ebooks of pretty much but I do the ebook with the audiobook. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of listening
Yeah.
to it as I'm reading it usually, but I have more time to listen than I do. I work in the cost estimating mathematics world. So
Hmm.
it's a lot easier to just type regular mindless work when you've got something playing in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, do you like annotated books or do you like pristine pages?
Go with the pristine pages. I have yet to
Okay.
learn how to annotate. I'm lousy at that part.
Me too. I
I've
feel the
actually
same
been
way.
trying to teach myself, and it's not working very well.
It's hard. It's like there for me with like keeping a daily planner. I want to be that person so
Yes,
bad. And I'm like,
yes. I've got
nope,
like 5 of them sitting right over here, and they're just sitting there looking at me.
exactly. Exactly. So this one might be a little painful, but would you rather crack the spine of a paperback or ruin the dust jacket on a hardback?
Oh, I'd ruin the dust jacket in a
A
heartbeat.
jacket? Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I try very hard not to crack the spine, but
Crack the spines.
try
Okay.
very hard not to, so I'd ruin the dust jacket, that would be an easy one.
Yeah. Would you rather a bookmark or a dog tag?
Bookmark, sure.
Okay.
That's just that's painful to watch those dog ears.
Yes, I agree. And then would you rather have dinner with your favorite character or your favorite author?
My favorite character, for sure.
And do you have that character in mind?
I mean, I've got a few of them, but I mean, if Kingfisher just happened to show up, I'm not gonna complain.
I agree. Of course I'll have dinner with you.
Of
Of
course,
course.
as Ceres is out of the picture, sure, I'm there.
I love that. So, do you prefer browsing through like Goodreads to find books to read, or do you prefer like going into a physical store and like looking what's available?
I'm actually a browser on Goodreads. I'm searching through there all the time, just trying to find out what other people think and ideas for books that they like and things like that. I don't actually leave my house very often, so
Yeah.
I work from home, so I don't really leave my house very often. So going into a bookstore just seems too much trouble.
Yeah, I get that. So, which is easier, writing the first line or the last line?
Go back and forth with my first lines over and over and over, just trying to get them right. So I would say the first line is the hardest of all of them. The
Okay.
last line, I do put a lot of effort into because I want them to be memorable,
Yeah.
but at the same time, hooking people with the first few lines of each chapter is like, I
Yeah.
take a lot of pride in my first few chapters.
Yeah. So do you prefer a soft magic system or a hard magic system?
Soft magic. My magic is living, breathing, kind of like the forces with, but you can access my magic three different ways. So, but
Mhm.
it's like the force, but there's three different ways to access the force from in my world.
Nice. So, out of these two options, would you rather have the ability to time travel or be immortal?
Ooh, be immortal actually wouldn't be that bad. I mean, time travel, I would suck at changing time. It would be my luck. I'd go back in time to go try to fix something and end up hurting the wrong person and make it worse. It would be my luck.
Oh,
So I'm not going to bother with that. I'll just stay immortal. I
yeah.
can
Oh,
see I
hi.
knew eventually I'd have
Hi.
one. Yes.
So would you rather read a standalone, a duology, or a trilogy?
I actually prefer trilogies.
Okay.
If I'm gonna read one, because
Uh-huh.
I read very quickly. So, like I said, usually with a trilogy, you have those little Easter eggs, you have those foreshadowing that, so it makes me think more and
Mm-hmm.
it makes me really question what's going on in the stories. So
Okay.
I generally enjoy that because I'm an analytical type person.
Yeah. And then my last question for the would you rathers, would you rather read the book first or watch the movie first?
Book first, for
Book first.
sure. Yeah, I definitely preferred that. I've had like, with the Harry Potter movie, things back
Yeah.
in the day, I would not allow myself to watch the movies until after I had read the books. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So within your world, because you talked about how you start in media and
Mhm,
she's slowly traveling to get out of media, and that's how
mhm,
you're introduced to the world. So there's
mhm.
other towns and villages. Where would you want to live if someone dumped you into your fantasy world? Where would you end up?
So of the different cities that that there, each one has its pros and cons. I
Hmm.
personally kind of like Melrin as a world. It does help that the Lady Anriel is from Melrin and her family are there. She's Malin's bestie, so that would be really kind of cool. They kind of have some of the same, conveniences that you would expect, but so there's that. We haven't gotten to Eloria yet, so but there's a lot of politics going on in Eloria. So and a lot of things going on that might not be as good as sounds. It
Yeah.
sounds really good. It sounds like our regular world, just like a melting pot with everything, but there might
Yeah.
be more going on there than meets the eye.
Meets the eye. Okay. So, what, in your opinion, makes a great story?
For me, when I'm reading a story, I love the challenge. I love being able to immerse myself in the story, that cinematic feel, so that I have just enough details that I can see the pictures in my head and create them on my own. I
Hmm.
I don't necessarily want to hear what the hair color of the main character is too often because honestly, I'm just picturing myself in that character.
Yeah.
Thing. So, I definitely I want to be able to feel like I am in that story and be able to have that immersive without being able to have the question. So, I'm really big on want it to make sense. So,
Hmm.
it needs to be able to have something that has just enough of a reality feel that I could actually see it happening or I could feel like it's really going on.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. So, my last question for you is, what message do you want readers to take away from after finishing your book?
So, one of my big things in my stories is the morally gray world. The fact that even as the best hero, they might have to make choices that are not necessarily the most heroic. Even the best people sometimes can't do the right things. And so the world is a morally gray world. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily there are bad people. Don't get me wrong. They're Nemelios in Journey to Eloria. He is about as evil as they get. But I also have a separate little short story for him that explains his story and explains why he's as screwed up messed as he is. So
Mhm.
you can't necessarily feel bad about the fact that he's a psychotic tormentor, but at the same time, you know,
You can see how it happened.
you can see how it happened and you can see why he is the way he is. And so those dark romance people might one day I might write a dark romance story about him. You never know.
You never
And
know. I
mind you,
love that.
he dies in book 2, but
It could be before that. See, what I
exactly.
love is, like, when you're, like when you kinda can be like, "I can see that." Like, you can, like, almost empathize, like, and
Yes.
it gives you, like, that, "What's wrong with me that I think that way?"
Right. Exactly. Yes, and that's my key is, even even the worst organization out there, like the city of media is trying to kill people who have magic.
Mhm.
But I have a novella on my website that people can download that gives the story of why the city of media does that. It's because before they were a city that was used to have non-magical people enslaved and they revolted. And so the non-magical people had to stop the magical people from being in the city. So that's why they did the whole thing. So
Yeah.
are you anti-magical people in the city, or is it okay
Yeah.
to have magic? And
Yeah.
so it depends on which story you've read first.
Yeah. I love that. It makes you think. You want the reader
Exactly.
to leave making them think about things and
Yes,
challenging their
I used to have a
perspectives.
full ethical dilemma class that I
Yeah.
in high school that I took that was I just loved it. I am a devil's advocate all the way. I can argue both sides of any story no matter what. I mean,
Yeah.
I can find a way to make that either side work.
Awesome. Is there anything we can look forward to that you are allowed to tell us about that you're comfortable telling us about?
So I have the audiobook for book 2 will be out in the fall. Laura Horowitz and Walker Williams are in the they're I'm trying to get the script to them now, and then they will be recording that over the summer, and then it'll be out. It's gonna be duet, so it
Uh-huh.
takes them a little longer to do, and Laura just happens to be extremely, popular right now, so
Yes. She's amazing.
it's gonna be great, though, and Walker Williams is just beyond belief amazing too,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's gonna be great, and then they had told me that if I can get book 4 finished in time, that their goal is to record books 3 and 4 both simultaneously, one right after the other, at the end of the winter. So then I'll have those 2 finished at that point, and so then I'll have all of them out, hopefully, before next summer.
That's cool. So when you were saying a script to them, so but besides just reading it, you give them like extra notes. Is that what you
Yeah,
mean when you said
so,
script?
yeah, when you're giving especially for duets, you have to separate out, male and female voices, and then they want to know, like, I find YouTube, videos of the sounds of each of the new characters because there's a lot of characters that are new,
Mhm.
and so we have to go through those and kinda learn a little bit about what their sounds are supposed to be like, and, kinda detailed descriptions of each of the characters and things like that. And there's a whole thing that goes into making sure that the book is ready for them for
Yeah.
especially for duet. For the regular duel, which is Escape from Media, is they just kind of used what I had and we talked through things and we had several meetings kind of going over what each of the sounds of each of the people are supposed to be and they had that down. But this for duet, since they are going to be completely embodying their characters. Um,
Yeah.
they really wanted to make sure to get it down just right.
I love that. So we have that to look forward to.
Yes.
I will link all her information below so that you can find all of the new and upcoming information as it comes out. So definitely bookmark that and make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being on today. Like, I am so excited to dive into this world. It sounds amazing. I look forward to it. And I really appreciate your time and coming on and sharing your
Well, this
journey
has
and
been
your
so
works with
great.
us.
This has
Yes,
been
of
great.
course. Of course. Well, thank you. And then join me next time as we get another look behind the book. Bye, everyone. Happy
Definitely.
reading.